Yes.
Okay, this is the Tourism Committee meeting for 5th day of August, 2019. And we have a few items we'd like to discuss. Mostly we'd like to debrief on community days, and we want to talk briefly about the rock crawl that's coming up this weekend, the bicycle clubs that's going to be impacting Coney Park this week, the burnout, and the observatory reopening. So those are some items that I thought of after we had discussed the main purpose of the meeting was to debrief on community days. Hot wash?
Yeah.
Okay, so a hot wash. So why don't we start with you? How'd you think it went?
I think it went pretty good. I mean,
too.
the only questions I have is I noticed there were some empty spots. What happened
Right.
there? I thought we were full up.
We had a little issue with the Republican Party committee.
Okay.
We had an application, we put them in the spot that you thought was an opening.
Yeah.
And then somebody else called who had considerable influence in that party, without naming names, said, we want the Republican Party to be over here. So we put them over there, but then the Republican Party people in charge said, no, we wanted to be back over there.
Oh my gosh.
So they got messed up on their communication. And then it was further complicated by the fact that that was right where we had put the Republican Party got kind of back behind the rock crawl.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's not what we had planned. But then,
So what's the lesson learned from that? No changing of spots next year.
yeah.
You're assigned that spot, you stay in that spot,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, we needed to talk with the person that actually filled out the application.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Anyway, that was the reason why that.
Okay. Yeah, there was the only spot that was empty then? I thought
Yeah.
I saw a couple more that were, it just seemed like.
It might have seemed like it was because the booths around them didn't use their full allotted space.
Okay.
Because we had 15 by 15, which is what most people like.
And they had 10 by 10
And they
each.
had-
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it just so happened that it looked like it was an aisleway, which that's how it was used when nobody showed up for those little spots.
Yeah.
But other than that,
The food layout was great.
food worked out pretty good. The one change that we made there was we kind of moved it to the west a little bit. The disposal container, we moved to the left, moved to the west, and then we moved the porta potties to the west as well. And so it gave them a little more room to maneuver. We still had 5 vendors, food vendors, but they really enjoyed the fact they were spread out a little bit more and had a little more room to move.
And there was one on, was it Court Street? Or is it?
Yeah, that was a late arrival.
Oh, okay.
That happened like that day.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
And they said, our other place canceled out on us, and so we'd like a place, and we all wondered where the donut lady was gonna be and why she wasn't there, and so when she got there, they just flocked over there.
Okay.
So that was kind of an impromptu request. So that's why they were over there. Otherwise,
I put my 2 cents in to have them placed over by all the police departments and the sheriff's department. I thought that was fun.
And the rock wall seemed it was a big hit too.
I thought it
I always seemed like there was always a line there.
Yeah. One thing that I heard about the rock crawl and the kids stuff, once they did all that, it got to be like 3 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock, and then everybody just went out of here. But then I think the entertainment and the beer garden started to take over, but there was a little bit of a break, which isn't necessarily a bad thing,
No.
but it just didn't fill up for as long as we had hoped. So I don't know what other people's feelings are about that.
And the question is, how do you fill that gap next year?
That's a good question. How do you fill the gap? And I don't know if there is a way to fill the gap. 'Cause we've maxed out the courthouse lawn.
We had a couple suggestions just from passersby on that kind of lull as well. And I think that we might look at adjusting our entertainment schedule a little bit, to kind of help fill some of that, more of like how we had the dancers, the kids group, that was a huge thing for the community, they loved that, so bringing more of that type of thing in a little, and having additional things to, and more involve the community before the music comes on.
Well, and more involve the kids, maybe there could be some kid-focused music, I don't know about that,
Yeah, that gets a
Get
little
the
kid, that gets a little kitschy.
but. If you get, well, the one thing, if we could get the tribe to come back in and do their little.
It's really hard to get them on a 4th of July weekend. And
Well, next year's gonna be after the 4th of July, so.
are we gonna do it the second weekend of July, like it used to traditionally be?
Well, it still has always traditionally been the second week in July, but it's always the second, no, wait.
So weekend after the 4th.
No, it's not essentially the second week. Let's see, how does that work?
So traditionally,
It was supposed
when.
to be the weekend after the 4th of July, as long as 4th of July didn't fall starting like.
On the weekend.
On Thursday or Friday or somewhere right
It was,
in
it was
there.
close. I know we,
Trying to
we
keep
looked
it-
back for the dates
Mhm.
and
And it
it was really.
was lining up traditionally with the second weekend of July, the second full weekend of July is what it was traditionally lining up with,
Okay.
until about 8 years ago or 6 years ago when they pushed it to the 4th of July weekend. And
Next
then-
year will be the weekend after. 4th
So
of
it'll
July.
be
It'd be the 11th.
It'll be the 9th, 10th, or the 10th, 11th, and 12th rather.
Yeah.
Is that what you have for 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good, because
Because the 4th falls on the Saturday before.
Right.
I already can't book bands if it was gonna be the 4th of July
No,
weekend.
we're not gonna do the 4th of July, yeah, because that would be too hard. So maybe it's an opportunity to see if.
We
can
might be able to get
contact
some
them.
tribal dancers in there if it's not gonna be the
Because
traditional.
I know that was
4th of
always a
July
big
weekend.
hit, and if we had more stuff like that,
Mhm.
mix up the entertainment part.
And we also looked at bringing like a reptile guy in, a magician, things like that, that are more interactive for next year.
Do you think we're actually outgrowing the lawn
Yeah, the question is, where do you go if you don't?
in Coney Park?
Well,
Then you block out the streets next to it, and spread out the houses.
There's a lot of room at Coney Park if you do the ball fields on both sides and everything.
I think that the walkability is a little bit more of an issue there, the accessibility, because right now, a lot of people walk from their homes, and the people that live out of town need to find parking, so they find it in the Century parking lot and the adjacent business parking lots that you're not gonna have at a Coney.
But you have the room at Coney, or even if you could make something happen with the owners of the property behind the post office. You know, that's all streeted out there, so you would have a lot of parking and everything. But I think we're just limiting ourselves now to exactly what we have. We can't grow any. And a lot of people are getting a little tired of nothing new, per se.
we did the rock crawl, that was new this year.
Yeah, well, I say per se, there's not much new. It's the same booth sitting in the same spot every year.
Yeah.
We could also look at, I was talking with event, one of the people that was putting on the Dalles, the carnival that comes once a month there, that they'll even just do packages for carnival games if we don't have room for rides, because I know the rides has always been a kind of a controversial thing with insurance and the cost, but there are those companies that can just bring carnival games in that I think doing on the east end of Main Street where it used to be back in the 90s, that was always a lot of fun, bringing that back in. Maybe taking advantage of the Hall Hotel parking lot.
But it's going away.
All hotel parking lot's going away.
Oh.
So you're gonna lose a lot of that area downtown,
But we will have some replacement of those parking spots.
but not for a while.
I think you'd be surprised.
But there's still a lot of accessibility with it being there in the heart of town.
Yes, I like the heart of town part. So speaking of the heart of town, did you guys, any of you notice if there was more shops open retail shop, something?
Seemed about the same.
Yeah, usually the ones that were closed, I noticed were still closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been back and forth with the Blue Sage Cafe, and he was all on board, and then
Didn't
anyway,
show.
didn't end up not being open Saturday.
That's
So
too bad.
yeah, missed a lot of business.
Okay, well, I heard, how about you guys over here, any comments? I heard a lot of positive comments.
Yeah, we were very busy, and then generally speaking, I heard people say that the town was the busiest that they'd seen in years. So, I didn't really get to leave the brewery because we were busy, so I can't verify that. But I mean, just from my point of view, it seemed like it was really successful this year.
The parade was as long as I've ever seen it.
It
a
was,
full hour long.
it was 48 minutes from start to finish. It was really, really good. And, you know, that's the only thing the newspaper reported on was the parade, so it must have been a memorable moment of community days, because they didn't do any other coverage. But it was a very good parade. I think we're gonna have to do away with the announcing now, because nobody can hear the announcing. And when it does get heard, people only hear snippets, and then it kind of creates a little bit of, how come I only heard this and how come I only heard that? So I think we'll probably do away with the announcing,
Okay.
because it just doesn't work.
How about the master of ceremonies? Did that ever pan out?
We got
Is that what they call it? The grand marshal?
it was gonna be the Grand Marshal. We got the information about 2 days before Community Days. It just wasn't enough time to roll it out to get the invitation out there. But we do have the name. We're going to extend the invitation to them for next year to be the 2020 Grand Marshal. Very excited about that. And have that kind of be a new aspect to Community Days.
Okay, very good. Car show, how did that go this year?
Great,
Good,
over 100 cars,
wonderful.
and the quality of cars was up a bit this year too. There was an awful lot of really, really nice cars.
Sure was. And the afternoon was as busy as I've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Just jammed. I mean, it didn't feel like it in the morning because it was so chilly, the wind blowing. Then all of a sudden, boom, like afternoon, the switch went on. There were everywhere crowds.
How did it work out with barricades and things like that? Did we do all right with that?
Yeah, that all went pretty good.
Well,
Grant Street.
yeah, pretty good, except for there were some mismatched parts.
Mismatched parts?
Yeah,
Oh, you mean
where
with
they
the
brought
barricades?
fat
Oh, I get what you're saying.
barricades with thin A-frames to go,
I
you
got
know,
you.
so you couldn't get them in there.
Oh,
Just a couple of those, not a lot to, I mean, we had cones, so we just
okay.
made up for it, but somebody was not really looking. I mean, if you're gonna have two different kinds, you
Okay.
need to look. Anyway, but
If I remember, I'll try to
I
make
think we
that
had
a
your top
point.
rails and you had our top rails.
could.
Because ours
be-
fit, but they were wobbly.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go, yeah, that's,
Okay, but otherwise, it went pretty well.
yeah.
The Hot Wheel thing went off pretty well, and, or,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what you call it.
Yeah, all of our functions, I think, went pretty good, and nobody really missed the blow-up car. Anyway,
Yeah.
so.
We had a club of 10 cars that came down, drove them clear from Bremerton,
Wow.
so that was nice. They all stayed out at the Ponderosa, I think it was. So.
Nice. Good.
We had 34 cars that actually raced Mario on Saturday.
Nice.
Well,
They raced?
32, because two of them, we had a minivan and something else, they didn't race.
But they actually raced. You timed them and everything?
Well, we didn't time, it's however fast you wanted to climb them. I mean, I hit 90 going up the hill.
Oh, my.
If that's not racing, I don't know what would be.
Well, racing, I usually think it's...
Craig's
against
car
the
hit
sun.
100 going up through there. So,
Second gear.
second and third is all you can use in going up in them corners.
Okay. Bobby, you're new to this. Did you have some comments? Oh, you just wanted to listen in? Oh, she's making you listen in, huh? Okay. Okay, anything else on community days? Like I said, it is gonna, what did we say, 10th, 11th, and 12th?
That makes me very happy because I wasn't gonna be able to book any bands.
Okay.
They're already booked out like 2 years in advance.
Well, we'll just go on to a couple of things that are going on. We have the bicycle club that's gonna be using a Coney Park for the next 3 days. And they have about, I think it's, I don't have anybody here to confirm it, but I know it's over 100 and something less than 200 bicycle riders that are gonna use Goldendale as a hub and take, I think, 3 different rides on 3 different days, or 2 different rides, I can't remember which it was, but they'll be mobbing in on Tuesday, tomorrow, and then they're bringing in like 10 support vehicles that include showers and food and porta potties and all that kind of stuff, and then they support the group, and the group goes out and does their little bike rides around the Klickitat County area, and then they come back and have their meal and go to bed probably, or at least relax. And then the rock crawl is this weekend, out at the same place, out at Brody Schilling's place, where they've had them in the past, so they'll be here this weekend. A lot of the event will take place out at her site, but they'll still have quite a few people in town.
Are they going to parade in town this year?
No, that didn't really work out the last time they did it, and so they're just gonna go to the site and pretty much do their rock crawling. There is a group, a local group, that's trying to get another couple of events up there to use the rock crawl, and they have a little different kind of machine than the rock crawlers that use it now.
Side by sides,
Yeah, it's
UTVs.
right. And so Doug Franton is leading that group, and he's trying to get another date to have another, it's not really a race, but a course for their side-by-sides. And then he's also thinking about trying to do a race. Well, you had mentioned the Mary Hill Loops, that he's trying to think doing a side-by-side race up Mary Hill Loops, so you go all the way up and come all the way back and see what your times are. So he's trying to do that. So I don't know. He's been talking. Has he been talking with you?
Yeah, they went and did kind of a practice run last week, and
Right.
I don't think anybody in their UTV group had done that before. And he was pretty excited when he called me on Monday or Tuesday.
Right. That was pretty cool.
Thinks he's going to be able to bring in some.
So I
further
went
people.
past the rock crawl. How did the rock crawl advertising go with you guys?
Pretty smoothly, you know. We've never had a lot of luck getting back and forth with those folks, and that got resolved this year finally.
Oh, good.
Did some ad placement for them.
Anything you want to add to Doug's requests?
Well, you know, I think it's one of those, we had sort of hoped that the skateboard luge guys were going to be the next big thing.
Right.
And it turns out that's sort of a declining sport nationwide when it comes to just stuff in general. I suspect people either age or accident out of that over time, I don't know. But this UTV stuff, it sure looks like it's just the opposite. Doug sounds like he's real plugged into it, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that all goes.
Right. Okay. Then, and maybe you can add to this, but the burnout is not going to happen, right?
No,
And the primary reason it's not going to happen is due to
no,
insurance.
just organizational problems.
Okay. It has a little bit to do with the cost of insurance.
Yeah,
I would take
yeah.
as well.
Yep.
And they were they kind of hoping that they could use some city streets maybe, which is an insurance problem too.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think
Okay. All right. And then we had briefly discussed it earlier. Maybe you could, I know that without stealing Troy's thunder, maybe you could just say.
yeah, he can't be here tonight, unfortunately.
Oh, he
but,
can't be here tonight as it is?
Yeah, they're
We'll try to set him up for another
Yeah.
time.
they're in great shape for construction up there. They're, you know, they're having a couple of things that are not related to the building that have slowed them down, and I think they're looking at November for the formal opening.
Oh, good.
We had hoped that we could get what you might call a soft opening on the actual anniversary date of the place, which I think is in September. But that, you know, it just got too complicated. I think it makes more sense to have an opening that's an opening, and that can also do the building, as we've all seen when the Parks Commission here is. Whatever you're expected to see, the new building's cooler than that. It's really something. It really came out great. Couple of things. The Joe Sprance, the kind of the new Lem Pratt's, just great to work with.
Oh, right.
And we've talked a little bit about, you know, the ways that we can continue the chamber, city, and observatory joint marketing effort. And one of the things that is, you know, just a real informal conversation, but may end up bearing fruit, is some sort of reservation system. Because one of the big problems they have is people that show up at the last minute, and lots of people have been standing in line waiting to get in, and it sort of needs to be a, you know, set aside some seats for people that aren't expected, so you know you don't have to have a reservation, but have some sort of guaranteed seat for the people that do have a reservation. And I don't know how that all works with parks, but I think that's a conversation that's worth having. Just, you know, it'll organize attendance a little better for everybody concerned, and it gives us some opportunities to know who's coming in advance and maybe get them interested in staying overnight at a local hotel and checking out food services. Makes it easier for us to market to people if we know who's coming.
Yeah.
And the incentive for them is, you know, give them a secure seat. And the seats up there are all, each chair is going to have like a periodic table category assigned to it. So there's even fun ways you could reserve it. The other thing on, we had talked when the mayor and I went over to Walla Walla to meet with the Parks Commission sometime back. There's sort of a formal planning process that Parks goes through for facility name changes and just, you know, really kind of looking into the future. And it might be worth the city's time to, you know, ask Parks if they could initiate that process. And I think that it's called the CAMP process, of course, CAMP, you have no idea what it stands for. But they've got a kind of a prescribed planning process they use for their facilities. And you know, now that we're going to have what amounts to a new observatory, it might be fun to see if they'll initiate that for this. And the last point is, you know, the ramp, the roof is constructed to allow for people to be on it. And the ramp just wasn't in the budget for getting it done. I thought building the ramp was like over $1 million budget item, but it turns out it's more like $300,000 or $400,000 for the actual physical ramp that would go up to the roof. And that might be something we all want to be thinking about, either for fundraising or capital projects in the future. Or, you know, if it's $300,000 or $400,000 instead of $1.5 million bucks, it's a little more manageable thing to go after, and it would further enhance the facility.
Yes, it would.
But, I mean, the main message is we're real excited about the new building, and I think folks don't have any idea what a big draw that's going to be.
Exactly.
Especially the motels.
Okay, well, that's all I have on the agenda. So, Guy, do you have anything more?
That's
You're
it.
doing good. I will say that we are starting to look at the application for 2020, and
Okay.
we will probably get those out sometime in September. And we're actually looking at maybe making a few changes that might require a little bit more work on the part of the applicant to provide some budget numbers and things like that, so.
Yeah, our thought process was to just have it mirror the county's application a bit more.
Right. So then everybody in the county, and Goldendale included, can have a similar application process.
Yeah, and at that point, if you're filling it out, you can just also submit to the county as well. You know, so we can spread the wealth. Yeah. So we're working on that.
Dana, did you get anywhere of talking to anybody when you had your PowerPoint in here about trying to organize a fly-in.
No, I haven't focused on that at all, to tell you the truth.
I think that would be a good way of bringing some emphasis in to the airport and what we're trying to do up there as well. And it would bring a little bit of cash flow in.
Good topic for the meeting next week, which
It came up at the last airport
I'm gonna
meeting,
be
I
on
remember.
vacation, I won't be there next Monday.
Yeah.
No, hey.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Doug.
congrats on a great year.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no other business, we can adjourn.
All right, sounds good, thank you.